So we've all been waiting for another bonus episode, and you keep telling me, Brett, that this one will not disappoint. So I want to hear, what is it about this Mike Root episode that excites you so much?
You know, when I first wanted to hunt lions and bears back years ago, it was about 1981 or 82. And there was three guys I heard of. It was Henry McIntyre, Ross Johnson, and Mike Root. And I went up there to see Mike Root, trying to buy a dog from him. Of course, he was out hunting and gone. And since that time, I've heard so much about him. And he's a Special Forces Army Ranger. I guess Green Beret is what that is. And I'd always heard these stories about the way he hunted, just, you know, pack into the wilderness and stay gone for a week with just a jar of peanut butter, you know, and as he says, and a spoon.
And a spoon.
Just kind of a hero of mine, you know. And I didn't ever, back then I went to his house and he had a litter of little white spotted puppies there in his yard. And I asked his wife, I said, man, I sure like to buy one of those pups from him. She said, no, she said, he won't sell a puppy to anybody. And I thought, oh, wow, you know, and it was probably 25 years later, he calls me out of the blue, just says, hey, I got a couple pups for you if you want them, you know. And
funny.
Yeah, I know. So I went and seen him. And since that time, you know, we've got to be friends. I've talked to him a lot. Unbelievable stories, unbelievable guy, double tough. I mean, just a character. And he's not your typical, you know, most of these guys that we talk to are ranchers, you know, and they had dogs and kind of out of
necessity.
Self-defense. They had hounds, they hunted lions, protect their livestock and bears, you know, but Mike, he came from back east and all he could think about, he met a guy who was an outfitter and had some hounds, and he said, man, it was the dogs that did it. He said and he's just, you know, kind of devoted his life to it. And he does it the old-fashioned way. He gets on a mule and makes big circles and puts the dogs on the ground. He's just a double tough sucker. You know?
Yeah, those guys are a breed all their own, aren't they?
Oh, you know, and and Mike's like, he's one of a kind himself. You know, he's got some good stories. I could sit and listen to him and talk to him for hours. As a matter of fact, I don't even know how long the podcast is, but
it's going to be one of the longer ones we've released because we decided to run this one as a single part.
Okay, good.
Instead of splitting it into two, that way people can just go back and listen at their leisure and not have to worry about downloading. But yeah, I know I've been looking forward to it because ever since you sat down with him, even before, I know you were excited to go talk to Mike. So
I've been buttering him up for this for a long time. I've been wanting to talk to him. He's really not the kind of guy who wants to just sit down and talk. You know, he just doesn't. You know, typically he just doesn't think he has a story to tell. And man,
isn't that like a normal? It seems like that is the norm with some of these guys because, I mean, I'm the one who's usually on the phone talking to people about doing a podcast episode, and it's intimidating for people. And I totally understand it. Trust me. Like first time I sat behind as a guest on one was, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and now it's like we're hosting one, so it is a little weird at first. But I encourage anybody out there if you can tell a story to Brett without a microphone in front of you, you can do it just the same with it there. You know, you're going hunting with or without us. It's one of those things, man. Just, we want to get this stuff documented. So I know we've been looking forward to it, and you've got the video footage for this, don't you? That you're going to
Yes, I have it. You know, the podcast will come out, and then I think 3 or 4 days later, you know, you can put the face to the name, and then Jim Farmer is went with me too. Jim and Mike are old time buddies, so that was a lot of fun because you know, Jim adds a lot to the podcast. You know, he's been there and done it. He asks good questions, so I just kind of sit there and listen to him. So,
right?
Yeah, it's a good deal, really is.
Well, awesome. So everybody, make sure you check out Brett over at Born 100 Years Too Late and check out the video content for this podcast. And we will be back again next time. Thanks for joining us.
Get your roughage, you know? Yeah.
Well, where do you want to start, Brett?
I'd like to know. You know,
you get it started.
Years and years ago, about had to be in the 80s sometime.
Right.
You lived right on the edge of Cuchillo right there.
That's right.
And I'd always heard about Mike Root and Ross Johnson.
Okay.
And I wanted to hunt lions and bears so bad it just hurt.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how did you get out here? How did you get to New Mexico? Because you're from
Massachusetts originally, yeah. That's where I was born and raised. Well,
Did you hunt with Bob Rollins, son?
yeah, I did, but just to how did I get here? I bought into a hunting business from Bob Rollins. Bought it from him. And it was a real fluke. It was in the winter of 1980. I was living in Houston, Texas, and I had a buddy down there. Anyway, it turned out he got a wild hare, and he called this guy, and they used to advertise in the back Outdoor Life, these outfitters.
Yeah,
and he called this guy, his name was Charles Bass. He had a place down there on 4th Street down there in Albuquerque, or down Rio Bravo, somewhere right down there. Yeah, anyway, I forget. But anyway, the hell of it is, this guy, we flew up here from Houston, and he had a ranch out in Grants. Then we went back to work, and then about a month later, he called and said, hey, there's an outfitter selling his business. I mean, I never had a dream of doing this. I ain't kidding. I always loved hunting, but I never even, the word outfitter never even entered my mind, you know. So anyway, it turns out we came up, and his wife had got the plane tickets, and back then in Southwest, you could fly a round trip for like $50, $75 from Houston to Albuquerque. Anyway, we come in, and the next day, we went up to see Rollins, was the guy selling his business. And
Wall Lake, right?
well, no, this is before that. So anyway, Rollins lived in Bernalillo. And so we went there, and I'll tell you what, just to make it simple, the hound sold me. You know, the hounds, you know. He was a bear hunter. He wasn't a lion hunter. Lion hunting wasn't real big, it seemed like, back then. Orville was the lion hunter, and there was guys who hunted them, but not like today, you know. Anyway, it turned out, you know, I had saved up some money when I was in the military, and then when I got out, I lucked out on a little investment on gold and silver and cashed it in and did good, and I was footloose, you know, not married, nothing. So I dumped all this money on the business, and that was in summer of 80. By fall, and part of the selling part of the business was there was no elk draw back then. If you booked a hunter, he was coming, you know. And anyway, Rollins had all these hunters coming, and my buddy, he was kind of a business kind of guy more so. Anyway, it turned out all that money was coming in. Well, come November of 1980, all the deer hunts, elk hunts were over, and he didn't hunt lions, so there was no more money. Well, this partner, you know, we couldn't stay afloat. So his wife was fixing to leave him and all that. So anyway, he pulled out and left. So I lost everything. I mean, literally everything. I lost my truck. I had a 30-30 and a saddle and a bedroll. That's no bullshit. Rollins, and you know, he was a former Marine. I was a former Marine, and he was a Korea Marine. And him and I seen eye to eye. Yeah, I mean, right. we could talk. You know. So and he, you know, I had to give everything back. I couldn't make the payments. He sold the dogs, a couple here, a couple there. Sold horses, tents, trucks, whatever. Turns out he let me stay with his family, and that winter. And that spring of 81, that following spring, him and his wife came down here to Wall Lake because he would hunt at the Dines down there, you know, hunt lions in the winter. So he liked the Black Range, you know, and he came down and he looked at some property down there. You know, there ain't a whole lot of deeded land in the forest. So anyway, like 10 acres. So he came back and he bought it, and he said, "Listen, Mike," he said, "if you're serious about getting into it, you're welcome to go down there and stay, and the forest can't kick you off, you know."
And you were camped up there by Wall Lake in a tent for a long time.
A borrowed tent for almost, I don't know, almost 2 years, probably off and on. You know. Anyway, who gave me the first dog? I had a friend of Bob Rollins had him. You know, like you give a guy a pup who never hunts. Just a pet, but it was a hound. Huh? That was my first, you know. A friend of his let me borrow a horse. I didn't have nothing. Went down there, camped out. I don't know where I ended up getting dogs at first. I don't even know if I had many at first. But anyway, probably, well, anyway, back up just a little bit. I know where before I moved into Wall Lake, I went around Quentin Hulse and Terrell Shelley. And I got 2 pups from Terrell Shelley. I got some pups from Quentin. Who else? That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
And this was in the early 80s?
81. It would have been in the spring, summer of 81. So it turned out, I just started hunting. Well, that allotment down there was the Steeple U. And one day I was going up a canyon, and a couple of dogs come up to me. Weren't my dog. I hadn't run into nobody. And it was Owen Fowler. He lived in the members, and they had that grazing allotment. And he was up there, and he'd hunt afoot, just walking with his dog. So I started hunting with Owen. And Owen, they had a sawmill down in the members at the time, and he said, Mike, he said, I can't hunt these dogs. They need to be hunted, And anyway, he left me with a couple old dogs. And they were probably pretty much bear dogs, but so what? Better, damn sure a lot better than what I had. So anyway, it turned out I just hunted the shit out of them. I just hunted every day. Well, then I'd run into a guy like Jack Diamond, they had to, and he look at me like, who the hell are you, and we get talking and see me. I'd go up to get my mail there at Beaverhead, coming from Magdalena. So anyway, it turned out, Jack would say, hey, why I got a cabin over here. Why don't you go and stay over there? So I got to learn country, And anyway, and same way with Matt Snaberger. Them guys helped me out a bunch. They really did, because they, there was times that I didn't even have dog food.
So you were pretty broke.
Oh, big time, big time. My truck, this is no bullshit. You can ask Jack. My trucks don't even hit the pedal. There was no brakes whatsoever. There was no brakes. I'd go off in the Black Canyon in that damn truck in first gear. I remember. Anyway, and I hunted down there at Black Canyon. That was in the bank on the Diamond Bar Ranch before the Laneys bought it. So I'd hunt all down through there. So that's pretty much how I got started. And I just hunted, and I had taken. When I got Brown's business, I had taken a guy from around Dallas who worked for the telephone company, and things were going to hell that fall of 1980 when we had bought that business. Everything was kind of falling apart. He said, Mike, you get back on your feet. You call me. I'll come hunt with you. And that's no joke. That guy kind of got the ball rolling because I took him that following fall of 81 on a bear hunt and lucked out and caught him a bear. And he told a buddy. I don't remember if I caught, anyway, it turned out that's how, how.
Did you catch any lions back then?
No, I never caught a lion. For one thing, I didn't know, what I was looking at. You try to read the dog, but I didn't know how to read the dog, I couldn't tell if a dog was starting a coyote or a jackrabbit.
You just let them run, whatever they were.
I just hunted, I just, and they'd catch up to my horse, you know what I mean? And tomorrow would be another day, and go do it again, And of course, you could see a bear track, but seeing a lion track, a little tougher,
How did you get hooked in with Homer then?
Well,
Homer Bryant.
Yeah.
Go there.
That winter, the following winter of 81, winter coming on, Homer and his son Frankie, this guy at Winston bought this ranch from Arizona. He was from Arizona. His name was Ing, and their allotment went over the divide, and he needed some fence work done. Hired Homer and his son, and they packed in there and just, no dogs or nothing. They just camped out, built a fence. While I was in there hunting, by then I had a lot of dogs. I don't know where I ended up, but there's no junk. I'd hunt 12, 14 dogs every day.
Just turn them loose and go.
And they know, if you wear them out, they're with you.
Yeah.
Sooner or later they start coming around. But anyway, so I met Homer. I remember I was camped down there at Monument Park, and I had my dogs tied out by myself, and him and Frankie rode over from Turkey Run down into Monument Park, and it started snowing. We got up with about 6 inches of snow, and me and Homer hit it off. And Homer said, I got a couple dogs. He said, we ought to get together this winter and may hunt. And me and Homer, we got along great. And his son was a real good guy, got along great. So he was friends with Rod Hill over here on the other side of the Caballo Mountains, and he said, let's go to the desert country. I'm thinking about going over there. Nobody ever hunts there. And I know there's lions in there. And we did. And Rod Hill put us up in an old, fallen down adobe old ranch headquarters, and we stayed over there and hunted that winter. That would have been 82, the winter of 82. And then I went up from there. I went to Hermosa the next spring. I heard about Hermosa. I'd never been. And Anderson owned the ladder then. It was a Diamond A. And there was a cowboy at Hermosa with his wife. Good people. And I just rolled in there one day with I ended up getting a horse trailer. I don't think I had a mule yet then. I don't think I did, no. Anyway, it turned out that guy was, he was a good guy, this cowboy up at Hermosa. And I told him I was going to go over to the Seco and camp. And he said, yeah. Back then, you've probably been in there, I don't know, but now they've got the roads cut off. But I used to pull a damn gooseneck all the way up this. Anyway, and we had a spring bear season. And the first day I hunted in there, I caught a big old thumper bear off the backside of Victoria. Lost the dog. Got way up there on Victoria Peak in the afternoon. And I heard one old dog. I heard one bark. And I bailed off there, leading that horse. And I got down there and I had a big old boar. Anyway, that country was always good. So I just started hunting there a lot, and that cowboy there, they were good to me. And then I'd hunt on the ladder a little bit, and that guy who ran the ladder, his name was Royce Griggs. And I think he's dead. I think he just died.
He just died.
Yeah, about a year ago maybe or something. Yeah, I heard that. Anyway, he was a good son of a gun, and I had caught a tom down in there, and Roy said, Mike, you need a good horse. You need a good horse, And he said, we got a horse that don't like cows, don't work cows good. And he said, but it's a traveling booger. And his name's Everyday, because he was kind of a strawberry roan, gelding. But anyway, he gave him to me. And he wasn't lying. You could pound on that horse. Could go. Every day, throw a saddle on it like the first day. Just a traveling good horse. Anyway, so that kind of how I got,
When did you trade horses for mules?
I bought my first mule from Ray Niles at the Slash Ranch. Yeah, he was at, and it was a little old gray Mexican mule. Had one of the big old Mexican brands on its hip. Great big ones.
Yeah.
And so you went straight to mules after that, or you had
horses? I pretty much did, but a lot of the stuff was just like most guys.
Use what
you read all these old stories. And them guys, a lot of them fell back on mules.
Yeah.
Just because they could take the abuse and still keep going,
Just tough.
A horse, you keep him out for several days, tied out at night, and jump up the next morning. Man, he's drawn up and ain't getting good enough feed. That mule,
keep on going.
So that's the big deal.
Well, did you learn a lot from Homer then, or did you?
Oh yeah, I learned a lot from Homer.
I had a friend who you heard me talk, Pat Wantman. He said if
Dave said he just got killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Hendricks called me and told me. Yeah.
But Pat Wantland said if Homer had the time to hunt, he was just a cowboy, just to work, hunt 1 or 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
He said if Homer Bryant would have had the opportunity, he'd been more famous in the hound dog world than Dale Cameron. He said that Homer had the savvy about him.
What was it about him that he knew the country or knew how? He
knew how to breed dogs. He said Homer was the one that went to the state penitentiary in Florence, Arizona, and got the old bloodhound bitch that they crossed on that put everybody in Arizona into the half bloodhound deal. And they could take those dogs at 18 months. They was catching lions consistently. And
so you think a lot of those good Arizona dry ground lion hounds have evolved from that bloodhound?
They go back to that. Their central bloodlines. They go back to old Greta. They called her Greta. She could get bred to a border collie, and them pups would catch a lion.
They would run off and What was your first really good dog you think that you had that you thought was exceptional?
I met a guy that was a friend of Jack Diamond up at Beaverhead. He was over there. Maybe he had hunted with him. He was from Tennessee, and he was a coon hunter, young guy. And he hunted with me, and he said, Mike, I'm gonna send you a pup. And he sent me a little Walker pup, and it was a registered dog. And I went to Dalhart, Texas, to pick it up. I remember, and came back in the front seat in my lap in the truck, and it was just a little Walker. Anyway, I raised it from a pup, and he turned out. He was probably my first,
What'd you call her?
I called him Shine. I called him his whole name was Moonshine, but anyway, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, but
would he cold trail Mike? Or?
Yeah, he'd be quiet. He wouldn't quit a track, but he wasn't real mouthy. But when he opened, if he opened, it was good. Yeah.
Tree good and everything.
Oh yeah. But yeah, mixing up them dogs. The thing about this hunting is, and I don't have to tell you guys, it's the bottom line is the old saying on the wet saddle blanket. Tomorrow's another day. Do it again. What happened today? I don't know what happened,
That's
but
right.
Tomorrow we'll find out. Tomorrow,
Just stay out.
Jan Brown said he'd hunt with that guy, Blackie Woods down there in Texas, in West Texas. He said he'd come riding in the end of the day, and he'd ask Blackie, "Well, Blackie, what do you think happened?" And Blackie said, "I don't know. You'd have to ask the dogs."
Yeah, that's my take on it,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
Family will ask me, what happened today? I said, I don't know. You'll have to go talk to them.
Yeah.
Who's I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you know? I said, well, it's kind of like Bud Welty told me one time. Said if he could smell a lion track, he wouldn't have the dog.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. But
after that, did you raise your own dogs, or did you go get?
Yeah,
get them, or just get them wherever
between the Shelly dogs and Homer dogs, and that little dog, I just started having pups and hunting them. And I'm bad about not writing stuff down. You lose a lot of good dogs over the years, and you wonder how I'm going to get by when I lose that dog. I've wondered that laying in camp thinking, what's going to happen when I lose that dog, Well, you just...
Something always steps up, though, Mike.
Well, yeah, you just keep going. Keep going. Jan's telling me, Pete Hughes told him years ago, when he lost a good dog, he said, well, you find out how much you really want to hunt.
That's true.
Because you got to make another one.
Yeah.
How do you make them? You pound on it.
Is that training your dogs? You just take them out and just
hunt them. Just hunt them. And there's no doubt. Whatever the word luck comes into it, there's no doubt. You pick the right canyon to go up that day, and you get something caught. But yeah, it's all part of it. You just
biggest.
I don't think there's a whole lot of guys that do 10-day lion hunts anymore. I heard that Warner Glenn, that's what he does, but I don't know. But I've always, you just ain't got enough time. Some of these guys think a 5-day hunt. 5 days, you're just getting warmed up.
Some of them down to 4 days now, Mike.
Well, them snow hunters or something like that. I don't. Yeah.
You do 10-day hunts now?
Yeah, I've always done 10-day hunts. And a lot of times, if I don't have a guy coming in after it, I'll say, hey, you stay as long as you can.
Just stay and we'll...
Just stay. We'll just keep going,
And when you do a 10-day hunt, y'all are out on the ground every day?
Well, it just depends. The thing about a 10-day hunt is you got enough time where if you're over here hunting and, you're not having no luck or not liking it or something, you can pull out and go somewhere else. And if you got a day of travel, you don't feel like you're hurt, as far as shortening yourself on time,
Sure.
But some of these guys, you see all these pictures now, and everybody's got a, so that makes it look easy. Well, I'll just go. Yeah, I get guys calls. Hey, I like to, call a lion a cat. I said, I don't like that. I always tell them it's a lion. It ain't a damn. Let's go cat hunting. I said, yeah, stuff like that. But.
When you first started guiding, it was bears then.
Right. Yep. And then, like I said, that following spring, or in the spring of '82, I went to Hermosa, and I caught a female lion up there. After hunting with Homer all winter, I had a couple dogs that would, work a lion.
Oh yeah.
After hunting all winter, and I'd catch a lion, and of course, just kept going. Go, see what's over that ridge. You know what I mean?
Didn't Orville tell you one time the way you catch a lion is just keep making bigger circles?
Well, that was old Buddy Allred. Jack, I was over there at Wall Lake, and I went up to Jack Diamonds. He said he's going over there to Glenwood, and he went to school with Bucky Allred. And he said, I'm going to go over there to Glenwood, and Bucky's dad was an old lion hunter, Buddy Allred, and he hunted a lot with Clell. Yeah, they were, He said, want to come? So anyway, I went over there, and they had that bar,
Right.
And went in there and sat down, and Bucky introduced me to his dad, and we sat down, and let's have a beer, and Buddy was a former Marine. We talked the same talk, and good. And I told him I had caught bears, but I had not caught a lion, And I said, what's it take? What's it take? He said, sounds like you're doing everything right. Just keep going. He said, that's all I can tell you. Keep going, And he said, and I don't know how the way I took this. He said, these hounds, he said, I've never done drugs or nothing like that. But he said, from what I hear about these drugs, running these hounds must be similar. That's what he told me. And I laughed, but yeah, because there's so many days, you throw your hands up. You throw your hands up and go, I tell everybody the happiest I've ever been is with my hounds, and And the saddest or the maddest or whatever you want to call it I've ever been is with my hounds.
Happens in one day sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you can get up one morning and you walk out there and a good dog's dead in his dog box.
Yeah.
You go, why? It happened. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
So, but you also started guiding elk and deer hunters.
I had to make a living,
Really?
That's the thing about this, Old Terrell Shelley used to say, these guiding outfitters. Well, the Lees did the same thing. If there was elk when they were hunting, they would have taken elk hunters too to help pay the bills. I mean, if you do it full time, whatever it takes. I mean, and the other side of that is you're out. You may be up on a ridge with some some deer hunter, and there's a scrape, and then 2 weeks you got a hunter coming in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're in a way you're scouting.
Out in the ground.
You're on the ground anyway.
Cutting for sign. Yeah. There you go.
And learn a new country.
Yeah.
Learn a new country, and you can't. There's no such thing as knowing too much country.
Right.
No such thing.
I mean, and you hunt a lot of country that really not many people are willing to go into. I mean, you pack in up there and.
Yeah. I do. I like that country. I don't like seeing people.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else.
Yeah, of course, you've seen us. We've stayed in your camp a couple times.
Yeah.
But there, all the times that I've been up through there, you're the only one I've run into.
Yeah, right.
So further down towards that Black Canyon, that Webb.
Yeah, Gary Webb. He hunts the other side. Yeah.
I bumped into him over there.
Yeah, no, I know. But well, these
Did you hunt
guys.
much with Orville when you?
No, I've only hunted. Actually, only 2 days with Orville ever. I remember walking up the bottom over there in the San Mateos up Nogale Canyon one afternoon, and looking for just went over there, and it was just some slick rock, just in the bottom. He said, "Man, track going up here." I kind of looking, and I don't say nothing. I'm not. There's and I don't say nothing. He says, "You see that track?" I go, I don't see that track. I don't know what to tell you. Right there. It's on rock. Like, look at that, Hell, it'd have to be a saber-toothed tiger fossilized to see it. But he just jacking with you.
He told me, he had me get out of the truck one time. I was over there on the ladder with him. And he said, jump out right there and see if that's a line track.
Yeah.
He said, it looks like a lion track. Jump out there. And I got out there, Man, and I just wanted to make it into a lion track so bad.
Right.
I'm looking, and finally he stuck his head out the window and hollered and said, either it is or it isn't. And he said, it don't take that long.
Yeah, don't take that long. There you go. Yeah. But I was waiting on something from him as far as somebody do a book or something on him, the way they do it, talk into a thing like this.
He started to have a web page, and I think it was his daughter, and they had a couple stories on there, but they didn't follow through with it.
Right.
And didn't do anything, and I would have liked to have gone and talked to him. And Orville was always nice to me. Yeah. There were a lot of guys that, he wasn't real fond of, and he wasn't the friendliest guy in the world, but he would call me, they had that Tom that was collared, and he called me one day and said, hey, he said that Tom's right above your camp right there. He's up there at Granite Peak, He said, you need to get up there. And, of course, I couldn't go. And then he called me another time and told me about it. He said, I got a friend of mine who's down there hunting, south of Kingston there. He said, cut a deer hunt and cut a big Tom lion track. He said, you need to get over there. So he's always friendly to me. Yeah. But he was also hard on me a couple times, too.
Yeah.
Probably well-deserved.
Whatever. He just tough old good. He loved the dog. That's all you can say.
Tough guy.
He loved the dog. He had dogs probably and did it longer than as far as I know, it's probably a record. I don't know if anybody's lived as long as Orville and still was active.
Still hunting, still catching lions after 80. They said.
Yeah. So he's still there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, geez, he had a lot of determination. That's really something.
You caught lions in the caballos also, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, now all they do is snare it. Don't get me started on snares.
I know, I'm with you.
I got no use for them. It's an insult to a lion. Catch a lion in a trap or a snare. But I can see where a guy that don't have no other means, you know what I mean, is eating something, you know.
And that snare is out there working 24/7.
Right, but I mean, as far as in the name of bighorn sheep, bunch of damn, you know.
Well, the guy told me that those sheep are born looking for a place to die.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. Anyway, right.
But you hunted down there
I hunted in Peloncillos. I hunted on Avery Hurt's place, the Alamohuecos. When I was hunting down there, the Hatchets was a game refuge. And the people who had it, their name was Everhart. And nobody hunted there. There was no dog hunting allowed in the Hatchets. It was a game refuge. Nobody was allowed to hunt there. I mean, I'd be south of there on the Alamohuecos looking over at that mountain thinking, man, that'd be a nice, you know, got a big old rough face. And it's sure enough as rough as you want to get it, I guess. But yeah. Yeah.
Good lion, a lot of lions down there? Or?
I don't think there's a lot of lions anywhere.
I'm with you, Mike.
I don't think there's a lot of lions anywhere. You know, they are where you find them, you know.
About the same as it's always been?
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe there's more lions now only because these damn elk, you know. These elk have scattered so much. I don't know if that's even right or not. But it just seems like the more food they got, maybe it increases the population. I don't know. But our deer population ain't worth a damn, you know. And, you know, there's no doubt they've moved into killing elk. They kill the hell out of elk, you know.
What do you think? The coyotes on the deer, you think?
That's what I say. I say the coyotes are the biggest thing on the deer for, you know, to me, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I talked to that trapper. He traps lions. He's a state, I'm sure you know him.
Down here at Radium Springs?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know
what's his name.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he believes that there's more lions now because back when they trapped the coyotes or used the 1080 on the coyotes, that probably killed a lot of lions too.
I don't know. He may be right. I don't know. I you know, when I first started hunting, I don't think people were using 1080.
Really?
You know, like I said, I hunted on the west side of the Black Range. I'm sure there was plenty of lions there, but I didn't know what the hell I was, you know.
You think there's more lion hunters now than there was back then?
Oh, for sure there's no doubt about that. There's probably, you know, a lot more lion hunters, you know. And the only reason they're lion hunters is, to me, is the populations had to increase. Because if there's that many lions to catch, they wouldn't be hunting them if they were, you know.
But there's not as many that hunt the way
no,
you do.
the way that we hunt is whatever you want to call it, harder, whatever. Saddling up and making a circle is a lot different than driving roads, you know. And them guys, if the lions weren't there, them driving them roads wouldn't pay off. So there's got to be, you know, the lions have got to have spread out, or maybe they've always been that. But it seems to me, I hear more, you know.
And the cameras. I mean, a lot of guys using cameras.
Yeah, but I just think that the population is the way it is because of the elk, I think. I think there's so much damn food for a lion now. There's elk everywhere. So, you know, and I don't know if that's right or wrong, but yeah, you know, it just seems like there's a lot of hunters now. Well, there wouldn't be a lot of hunters if there wasn't many lions. You know, if they couldn't catch them and put them on their phone, they'd get rid of them dogs. You know? Yeah.
Sharing those pictures on social media.
Yeah. You know, look what I caught, you know, 200-pound Tom.
Or bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's the way it is. No, you do it as long as you can. The biggest thing is your health, no doubt about it, just like Orville, you know.
Well, you've always, I mean, I've heard stories of you walking across the wilderness, swimming the lake, and doing all kinds of things. Huh?
But you know, yeah, whatever.
Does that come from your time in the service?
Probably. Yeah, you know, you like that stuff, that's all. I mean, you know.
Yeah, and
that's part of hunting, though, too, you know. I mean, yeah, something happens, you got to, you know, you got to be able to pull your weight, you know.
And that, you know, and I think that so much, and I've talked to younger guys that I've hunted with in the past, you know, and that, I mean, the way we hunt or the way I like to hunt and the way you've always hunted is you got to enjoy that process, not just necessarily actually catching the lion, but everything that goes with it.
No, it's the freedom. It's the freedom. And, you know, that's the thing about the dog hunting, too. You know, you can like going elk or deer hunting, but you got a season. You got 5 days here, you got 10 days there. And then, you know, you hope you draw next year so you can go hunt, you know. With the dogs, you're out. I mean, the freedom, you know. I mean, that was one of the things that really got me about When I first started, it's like, damn, you know. When I first started, it was an 11-month season. Then they cut it back. Now, of course, you got a year-round deal, you know. But yeah, that's the big thing, because you're in pretty much in the now, but there's more seasons for everything. They got, you know, deer hunts, elk hunts going all the time, and javelina hunts in the winter. But it wasn't too many years ago. The only thing in winter was lion hunt.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember that.
You know, so if you were out, you know, and it was you and the rancher. Now everybody's got a side by side, you know. But that's the way it is. You ain't gonna get rid of it, you know.
No,
you ain't gonna get rid of it.
That's what makes that wilderness so nice. Is you can get up in there and get away from a lot of that.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, a lot of places. Like, I went up to Nevada, and I hunted up there in northern Nevada, and they got that Jawbridge wilderness, and I'd always heard about it, but I never really looked and seen how big it was. Well, it's a little wilderness. It's not that big, and they got little 2-track roads all the way around it. And, you know, and you're there on your mules, and I took a pack mule and rode my mule, and you get up in there, and then you know, there's a buggy or a side-by-side or a four-wheeler or something, and it just kind of, you know, they're running all over the place. And you know,
it takes the fun out of it.
Anyway. Yeah.
It takes the fun out of it, you know. You know, and I like to give a guy, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to think I probably have stepped on people's toes over the years, but I don't think many, if really any, you know, over there, like where you talked about talking with Clay, you know, over there in the Wahoos, and I've hunted it a little, but not hardly, you know. And the San Mateos on the west side, you know, old Darrell and Roy Dean Welty, I always, you know, that's their country. I always honored it.
So y'all
you know?
kind of.
I mean, you kind of, you know, I mean, there's times, you know, it's just like anybody, if somebody calls you about something, sure. You know, you can't help it. You know, your dogs are tied up. You got a chance to catch something, you go. You know, you go. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's all public land. It's not like it's private, and you're trying to keep somebody off of it, right?
Right, but there's, you know, whatever you want to call it, you know, unwritten rules, you know.
But you're still respectful to a point, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Even if it's public land, you still respect them.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, you know, we got a call, or I had a rancher, I won't say who it was, that said, you know, we need you to come out here and see if you can catch some of these lions.
Yeah.
The guy we got on here now, he won't kill any of these females. He's just going to, he guides hunters, and all he's going to kill is toms. And he said, we need you to come in here and kill these, you know, we want them out of here. And I thought, well, you know, first place I said, I don't have time to go, but if I did, you know, then you go in there, and then the guy, one of your lion hunting buddies or friends, you know, you're stepping on their toes, and that wouldn't be fair either, you know.
Yeah. And a lot of them guys call you and want these lions out of here. They, you know, the sad part is they make it sound easy.
Yeah.
And they act like there's a lion behind every tree.
Yeah. I tell them, come and ride with me. Let's count the lion tracks.
That's right, Mike. I've told him I've got another mule at home. Y'all saddle her and you can follow me. You show me where all them lions are.
I tell these game department guys that, why don't you get out of that damn pickup truck, man?
You know, when I started hunting
come and ride with me. If you learn anything, you'll get to see some country and get the, you know, I mean, it should be part of their requirement, you know, to contact the local, you know, whatever.
Learn the country, you know, get out and about.
Well, you'd think, but, you know. And I imagine if they wanted to do it bad enough, they could.
Yeah.
Just like anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if they wanted to, you know, somebody got a hold of you down there in the Cruce's office, said, hey, Brett, man, you know.
Yeah, come on.
I'm sure you'd say, come on, man.
Let's go look.
You'd even bring an extra tortilla for him. You know?
With some peanut butter.
Yeah.
So I always heard about Mike. Said all you need is a jar of peanut butter. I told him one day, I said, what do we need? Just a peanut butter? And he looked at me and he said, and a spoon.
Yeah, that one guy said that. I said, we got some peanut butter. And he said, what you got to go with that peanut butter? I looked and there was nothing. I said, a spoon.
A spoon.
Good for you. See, if you don't catch them guys nothing, and they go home and they're bummed out, you know, they paid money, they expect something, and they go home empty-handed, and they walk in the door, you know, and you've been kind of cutting them back on the chow. They walk in the door and they gain a notch or two on their belt, and their wife, she don't give a rat about their trophy anyway. She's only happy if you're happy, you know. And, you know, you walk in, she goes, oh, honey, you lost some weight. Well, the hell, you might have caught the biggest tom in the country. You know. So I tell them it's a win-win deal, man. Either you catch one, if you even go home empty, you're going to.
Now, I talked to a guy one time who had hunted with you, and I got a theory about this, and I was going to ask you. He said, your law would be hunting with Mike and be riding down through there. The dogs are trailing a little bit here and there. And said, just stop. Mike said, let's build a fire right here and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know why Mike's doing that? I thought in my head why you're doing that is just to be patient, to give the dogs time, or did you just really want a cup of coffee?
I don't know. The thing about it is, you know, you know your dogs, and it, you know, and you got, you're not doing, you know, you think, well, I got it in my head, I'm going over here, and we're not gonna. Let's just stop here.
Yeah.
You know,
just slow
let
down.
these dogs.
Just slow down.
Just you know, and then yeah.
That lion we caught down there, that's this. I mean, I look back on all the mistakes that I probably made by calling the dogs off when I was probably closer to that lion than I realized.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody, we've all, you know, I mean, sure.
Those dogs were just barely poking,
Right.
and all of a sudden, bam, there's a lion. That was shocking.
Well, to me, probably the neatest thing is when you catch a lion and you don't even jump him.
Yeah.
And the dogs peck, and you know he's in that rock pile. Or you don't know. You think he's in that rock pile.
You assume, yeah.
Maybe he's in that rock pile. And then one dog will go to baying, you know. And I mean, we trailed up to there, but we couldn't. But it wasn't a giddy up go track. It was a, you know, pecking, you
just
know.
Pecking,
And
and the line was just
where it's hard to
down.
read it. You can't say, well, it's an overnight track. You say, well, maybe how old could it be? You know what I mean? That kind of, you don't try to read the dog. And then, you know, me and Homer over in the Caballos, that winter we hunted together. And we took a nap. We were up on a big old rough ridge. We were hunting afoot, and we took a nap and looked down and said, we hadn't been down there. Let's make a loop, and we'll come back to the truck way the hell over there, you know. And so we dropped in there, and the dog started working the track. And it was in the middle of the afternoon. It was in the winter, and it wasn't cold. It wasn't hot. But the dogs, it had to have been a good track. And then we ended up trailing it for a couple hours, but we probably didn't go a mile. And they baited, and it was a female. They baited under a rock, you know. But they trailed up to there, and they were barely barking. And we were sitting there, you know, where we were afoot, where you could just, you know, and they'd move a little bit, you know. Anyway, they, But, so that's the funny thing about the scent, you know. It's hard to read it. It's hard to say, well, you know, this is an overnight track. Especially in that old dry country, you're not going to, most of the time, you're not ever going to see a track. You just got to rely completely on the dogs, you know. So. Have
you ever had dogs that turn line track around, trail backwards, and turn it around on their own, or?
Yeah, for sure. That's. I think that's all, you know, part of it. I mean, I think every dog will do that if they got enough under their belt. They'll figure it out, and they'll say, well, you know, some bitch just said something ain't right, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they may take a holler from you once or twice, and they hear your voice, and they go, you know, if they've worked with you enough, or they got enough faith in you, they say, you know what, I think the boss has got it. And maybe one old dog comes back, you know, and starts it, and then before you know it, another one shows up, and another one, and here we go, you know.
How about lions walking back over their track?
For sure.
All the time?
All the time.
Yeah, it's confusing, but that's what you got the dog for. And, you know, if you don't catch them, I always say, well, maybe you got a starting point for the next day.
Yeah, I remember
you
telling me that one time.
Yeah, it ain't a big deal. I mean, it ain't a big deal. If the dogs will open on it, you know, Homer was pretty, you know, if you find sign, you go back the next day. Don't jump. You know, I mean, even if you get a bark.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? And you think those lions will, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the country you're in, you know.
Mm.
But I think the thing is there's probably no consistency, no two tracks alike lion hunting. I think that's what makes it different than everything else. You know, bear, you can kind of pattern them sometimes, and sometimes, you know where to go look for them. Lions, you just never know, you know, where you may find one. They've got their travel routes, but you may find that track a half mile before you get to the travel route.
I'm 65. I hope I can do it as long as you're doing it. I tell guys that, you know. I want
to. Slowing down, Mike, I tell you what, last winter, I caught 3 lions that I couldn't get to. If I can't ride my mule to them, I don't get there, Mike. I just don't trust myself off walking.
Mm-hmm.
My knees and my feet and everything, and I wobble around.
Well, and if you're by yourself.
Exactly.
That's 10 times tougher. Hunting by yourself is a lot harder because you got nobody staying along with you saying, let's go. Yeah. Let's go. You got to tell yourself to go, and that's hard to do.
And I want to live to do it again, Mike. Now, the ones I can ride my mule to, I see them and get a picture, and that's all I want, you know, is a picture.
Yeah, hey, you know, whatever.
I caught some there on the river.
Yep.
3 on the river this last winter, and got pictures of them in them thickets, and crawl on your hands and knees into them thickets to get a lion picture. Now, That ain't very smart, is it, Mike?
Well, they got the dog, so, you know.
You take a pack mule a lot of times when you hunt?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, just in case, carry gear for everybody when you're guiding hunters and stuff?
Yeah, it's just too handy. They're a pain in the butt, but they're worth it.
Are they?
They pay off, you know. Well, it's got to stay out.
What, and you just now got shock collars. You haven't had shock collars, have you?
No, I haven't.
You got
That's
them
what I
now?
mean. I don't know how I did it. I've had more wrecks than I tell everybody. Unless you caught everything there is available to catch with a hound, you haven't hunted.
That's true, Mike.
Yeah, before you catch
I mean, from damn lizards to turkeys, you know.
How about bobcats? You ever catch many bobcats?
Not many, but I've caught them.
Have you ever had a dog that just kind of was good at that, had a knack at it? Or?
Yeah. I've had a couple like that, but you know, most of the time you catch a bobcat in this country, conditions got to be pretty good. And you know, we had one winter, probably been 15 years ago, and it snowed in October on the second rifle elk hunt, like 6-8 inches, and then it got warm and, you know, went in the ground, then froze, and kind of, I forget exactly, but anyway, that month of December, like, you know, you don't catch them much. I caught maybe like 4 bobcats, and I'd hit them, and I'd trail them. Usually, you know, unless there was a fresh snow, you wouldn't trail a bobcat. You'd get a couple barks, and it'd be over there on that hill, and pretty soon it'd fizzle out.
Right.
You'd let them go, but they'd fizzle. But they'd take it on, and I really think it was that ground was heaving up, and that scent was holding. Something, I mean, I don't know.
How about foxes?
Oh, yeah. Caught up shit, you know, ton of them.
You don't reprimand your dogs for running foxes?
Well, yeah. What do? You know, you call them off, get them off. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's all you can
They don't
do.
run very far.
I don't shoot them or nothing, because, you know, that old saying, you know, if you ever shoot anything that you don't want a dog to, you know.
That's not a good thing.
No, what's that them bird hunters say? It's like shooting a rabbit in front of a bird dog. Just don't do it. Just don't do it, you know. I've had guys that, you know, dogs put a javelina in a hole or something, you know.
And then shoot it?
Want to shoot it. I say, bullshit, you ain't shooting that damn thing, you know.
You told me one time, Mike, you caught 5 lions one day, didn't you? Yeah.
Back over here but it was a mama and kittens, though.
Well, the lion's a lion, though, and
well, yeah.
What
it was, and I'm sure it's happened probably to you, is 2 litters went together. I don't know if I told you that.
No. Tell the story here again, so Brett hadn't heard it.
I hadn't heard it.
Well, anyway.
You turned out, and the time you got your mule out of the trailer.
Yeah, I had a father and a son, and we were getting the saddles. You know, they were already saddled, unloaded them, putting the stuff on, and I had let some dogs out, you know, just go on, and pretty soon they barked down there. Then I heard an old dog, you know, you know, and, you know, getting ready, and pretty soon they're treed. I go, you know, like you say, you know, you never say for sure, you know, probably a fox, you know, who knows, you know, right? So go down there, and they got a little kitten, so we pull the dogs on. Old dogs trail across the canyon, go up the other side. There was a fox, fresh kill right there. Like
or the lion that killed the fox.
Well, I don't know, but I'm sure it was, but it wasn't even covered up. It was fresh. I mean, ripped open right there. Like this something ain't right. So the dogs trail up over the rim, and I figure, well, they're either going to catch the kitten or maybe catch the mama. You know, let's go. What do we do? We follow them. We get up there, and they turn it west, and they're traveling the rim. And by the time we get up there, they're out of hearing. You know, and we keep going pretty soon up there a ways. They're treed down on the bottom, but they're treed in different spots, you know. So we ride down in there, and I get to the tree, and it's a big kitten, like 60 pounds, you know. But this ain't the same litter. It can't be, the little one. Anyway, they had, I think, 4 lions along there, different spots. And I tried to get the hunter. One was a tom, you could tell. He was probably 75 pounds, and the hunter wouldn't shoot him.
Oh, he didn't want
He did, yeah, he said he wasn't big enough, you know. And I got that hunter up in the tree. He had it. This was before the iPhone. And I said, well, let me get a picture of you pulling that tail. So he climbed up in there, and there was a pinon, you know, and he got right underneath it. And that lion just kept looking at him, you know. I said, grab him. Pull it. You know, I got a picture of you, you know. He goes, you sure? I go, closer. Get up there. Get up there. He gets up there, and he got about 3 inches from that tail. He goes, I can't do it, Mike. I can't do it. And I just kind of, you know, I had a guy a couple years ago up here who wanted to kill a lion with a knife.
Oh, no.
Geez.
And I told him, and when he talked to me on the phone, I said, you've watched too many damn movies. You know, I said, but bring a gun, I said, too, you know. So anyway, we bait this lion on a bluff, and I climbed up there to it, And I broke off a yucca stalk, and I speared this lion with this yucca stalk just to get him off the bluff, to get him down off in the canyon. And there's some cottonwood trees, and I thought I could put him in a cottonwood tree. And then I'd get this guy up there to play Zorro, and just go, go ahead and stick him. And watch him get the shit slapped out of him. Anybody that dumb, you can't help but want to, He was a fireman from Fairbanks, Alaska. Anyway, the hell of it was, so I got up close to this lion, and I speared him with a yucca stalk, and he went along these ledges. I couldn't see him. And I'd look over the edge, and this guy was down on the bottom with the mules, and it's probably a long way down, maybe 100 feet or so. And pretty soon an old dog, they were just scattered out all over these rocks, dogs barking, and I slid along that edge. I couldn't find that lion, And pretty soon I heard rocks, and I watched one of my old dog paddling in the air over top of me.
Oh,
man, and he watched, and he went, I'd say 50 feet. It hit an outcropping, landed right on his back, and it shot him. When he hit so hard, it shot him off into the canyon. And there was like willows, and the creek was down there. And I just heard a whoosh, and your heart sinks. You go, damn it, I lost the dog. Damn it. So then I was mad. I told that hunter, to hell with the knife. I said, get the rifle, shoot the lion. I want to find my dog, So, and I started yelling at him. I said, get the dog. And he disappeared. I was on a sheer edge. He disappeared in the brush way down there. And he came back out and looked up at me, and he said, I can't catch him. And I thought to myself, what the hell is he talking about? The dog's got to be crippled at least, And pretty soon I see the dog walk out behind him. I'm not kidding. I was like, ah! So I knew. I said, shoot him. He had a pistol. He started shooting. Anyway, he ended up getting the lion off, and anyway, killed the lion. But the dog, I never had to pack him back. He was fine. Didn't break nothing. How can that be? I don't know. But I had to, I seen it. It happened.
Didn't you have to go in and get some climbers one time, get a dog off a bluff or something? Or
Yeah. I've done that before. I had to leave dogs overnight and rappel down to them, and get them out and tie them to a rope and lower them down,
Yeah.
Or pull them back up. But yeah, you hunt the bluffs, the bluffs are scary. And the older we get, Jim, right?
That's right.
I had one up here a couple years ago, and I had to tie off I had a dog get hung in the bluffs down below and couldn't get down. And we caught the lion the day before, and the only reason we caught it, we just lucked out. But anyway, we caught it, but this dog was hung up. And where they jumped it out of these bluffs and went down, how the other dogs got off of there without getting hurt, I don't know how they did. But it was just, bad bluffs. Because this one dog was hung. It's that same dog who's sick right now. Anyway, so I went back to the house. The next morning, went over there, climbed up. And there was no trees to tie to, nothing, just bluff. So I threw that rope around a big old boulder. Figured it's gonna have to do. And I started sliding off of there. Going down to that dog. And I remember thinking to myself, why do I do this shit? Why do I do this? One of these days, I tell everybody if I ever fall, I'm gonna turn it into a swan dive. Just kiss in. Bam. But yeah, that's the fun of it though, because
you never know.
Yeah, if it wasn't, I tell everybody if it was easy, there wouldn't be no lions left.
No, yeah,
they'd have been killed off 100 years ago.
Almost like Orville told me one time. He said they ought to make it illegal to hunt
in the snow
from October to February or something like that.
He didn't like snow hunters, but I know, but there's got to be more lions today, I guess. Don't you think, Jim, or no?
Well, I think they're more dispersed, Mike. I ain't going to say that there's any more. I tell you, when I first started hunting, we never even went to this low country. We probably drove by lions, but I started hunting with a guy, and we went to the highest ridges on the mountain, and looking for his grave. That's where the lions seemed to be. There was deer up high. Now, what we don't have anymore is we don't have the high elevation deer in our country. They're out in these desert foothills.
You think that takes the lions down there, too?
Exactly. When they disperse off the mountains now, I think they begin to get harder to find. They got more country. And I started hunting with an old man. He wasn't the greatest lion hunter in the world, but he'd hunt a lot with Orville. And
I think there's lions everywhere.
Yeah, they are. That's what I'm saying. They're dispersed
everywhere.
He told me one time, he talked real funny like this. He said, Jimmy, I want to tell you something. When they say there's a lot of lions, there ain't very damn many. And there's a lot of truth in that,
There's never a lot of lions.
Never a lot of lions. What's a lot? You can't put in the
you can go over here and, catch a tom and catch a female and say she's got some big old kittens in there with her still, dragging with her. and you catch them, and and that's a lot of lions.
Take one or two out of an area, and you're out of lines. If you know.
What? How long? Like your longest hunt? I mean, after one lion. I mean, have you like stayed after one for 2 or 3 days, or have you ever done that?
Yes, I have done that, and but I don't know how many times, but I've sure done it.
Didn't you tell me one time you trailed a tom from the entire length of the Black Range?
Just about, and I ended up here, and I lost the dogs, and I wish I would have had GPSs, I guess then. But anyway, yeah.
You started way down there at Cook's Peak or something?
Not that far down, but down there by Emery Pass, yeah.
And came all the way up through here?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about a pack mule, though. It don't matter where you go, Don't matter where that's the thing about this country. You got a lot of elbow room. And the San Mateos are the same way. Yeah. That country up there, I think from the west side, there are a lot of roads, but this east side, man, you're on your own.
Really?
Yeah, it's just, and now this fire up on top, there ain't no telling. We get any big rains, what that's going to do to them canyons off this side. It's going to cut them deeper than what they already are.
Is it hard to get around up there?
It is. It is. To me, it's a lot rougher than the Black Range.
Oh, really?
To me, it is.
Rougher than back where my camp used to be?
Oh, for sure. For sure. No, this interstate side, it's there's just and the canyons just seem deeper. They're a lot higher climbing, than, maybe the Black Range are already up there, it seems like, Yeah. I mean, I say that. I don't know. But it just seems like this country here it's yeah, you'll have to go up there sometime and hunt.
I've invited him. I'm gonna he'll come this winter, man.
It's a rock pile.
That's I always told everybody, there where I was by my camp, there was nobody ever came up there and hunted.
Mm-hmm.
And I had guys say, we come up there, and they come up there one time, and that would be about it.
Right.
There was a TV crew one time that they wanted to bring a guy, I think it was this boy that lives over here now. I don't want to say his name, but they said, we want to come in there and go bear hunting because they closed down the area. They hit the quota over there by Capitan and Reno's and everything. We got a TV crew trying to make a film and want to come in there. And I said, well, you better bring your mules, And I said, I'll go with you, and I know the country fairly well. And they said, well, we want to rig, And I said, you can rig. There's a road. It's about 8 miles long. I said, you come in and then you turn around. And if you
can do that all day long if you really want to.
Drive up and down that. That's about it. And I never heard from them again.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of those guys just went, and I'm sure it's the same over there, up there. If you don't spend a lot of time in the country, you don't know how to get around. And
I remember I had a guy, and we were up there in the Black Range. We hunted like 10 days. We didn't catch nothing. We were coming back out, and we were getting snowed on. We were in a bunch of brushy, old, nasty stuff up high, and we had a long way to go. And I turned around, and I said, man, damn, piece of apple pie and a cup of coffee to hit the spot now, wouldn't it? And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, hell, man. I said, use your imagination. He said, after 10 days of this, I don't have an imagination. And I fell out of the saddle laughing,
Didn't you tell me on one hunter you took, Mike, you hunted him 42 days? No,
well, he's the record. I got one guy from Louisiana.
Not continuous.
Not continuous, but every time he'd come, we just never could make it happen.
And he'd leave and you'd catch a line.
Yeah, he'd leave, and I ended up sending him, he said, listen, I don't want to hear about it. If you catch I don't want to hear about it, We'd be on to one, and then he'd have to go home. You know what I mean? I'd get somebody else, and we'd get lucky and get it caught or something like that.
He'd hunting with you like 5 or 6 days at a time?
Or sometimes 10 even, yeah. You hear these stories about these guys saying, I've caught a lion for every hunter I've ever taken. I go, man, what kind of drugs do they take? To say crap like that. I mean, maybe there's other country that you can do that to, but no, this country here, you gotta just
be lucky. You told me one time, Mike, when you catch a lion, you're just damn lucky. Yeah. Remember that?
Well, Homer's the one who used to tell me that all the time. Oh. He said, if a guy's honest with himself, every lion you catch, you look back on it and retract yourself, you'll say you're lucky.
It's lucky, yeah.
That's right.
And I'm all for it. I'm.
Have you ever been scared or hurt while you're out there?
No, I've never been. I've been knock on wood.
Warner Glenn had the best the best answer to that question I ever heard. They asked him, said, "Have you ever been scared out there?" For a minute, he said, "I was scared I wasn't going to catch that lion."
Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah. And sometimes that sure plays with you because you got a guy you just like to, some guys are great. Most of the guys are good, but you get the guys that which way we going tomorrow. You're tired of hearing that stuff. Which way? What's the plan for tomorrow? Well, we're gonna go hunt. Well, like you got a crystal ball. Like you got a crystal ball.
I think yeah.
I mean, it's just yeah.
Don't you agree, Mike, that some countries is just easier to catch them in than others? Like Pat Wantley was telling me a story that he was camped over there in some mountain range in Arizona, and Dale Lee and Giles Goslick both showed up at his camp one evening, and they're sitting around there drinking coffee and I'm sure a little whiskey. And Dale asked him, said, "Are you catching anything here, Pat?" Pat said, "No, but I'm trailing something every day." And said Giles and Dale got to talk, and they had never caught a lion in that particular mountain. And they came up with this funny story that Dale thought the bluffs were too close together. You jump them out of one, they just go get in another bluff. In other words, and Pat said it seemed to be that way. You could trail and trail, but you could never get one caught, never get him caught.
Well, the only country I've seen like that around here, and I've jumped them and had to get away, but never seen them in front of the dogs. But I mean, they were right there. It was in the Floridas.
Yeah,
I used to hunt the Floridas quite a bit, and I've never bait a lion. I mean, I've had ibex kills that were fresh, and the dogs barking off into the air, and on bluffs all right there, and that lion's right there.
Yeah.
And you can't find him. And you can't get down to find him.
Right.
You can't, slither down there on a ledge and, look in the holes and stuff. But, I think you catch a lion just about anywhere, but they're, like I say, places like that, and that mountain you're talking about with him, it may have been the same kind of deal. The track's everything. How close are you to that lion? Otis had a pretty good story. He was up here in the Wahoos, and he had a hunter, and they were riding along, and come about lunchtime, and a little rocky outcropping down there, let's have lunch. They got off, and he said just as they got off, a damn dog fight started right there, he said. I thought, what the hell? I ran over there, and damn, that lion went up a tree. They had a lion on the ground. We got off our mules, and there was a lion laying under that bluff right there. The dogs just, bah!
There they are.
And put it up, and the fight was on him, put it up a tree right there. What's the chances of that?
Yeah.
Talk about a hot track.
Yeah.
So yeah, but.
You told me a story one time about up here that you had a hunter and there was a little bit of snow on the slope and this mule sliding down or something, and forget what it was. And I thought, you guys had a lion treed down there somewhere.
Yeah,
I thought said you never been scared. When I heard that story,
I told you that story. Yeah. No, I got the mules down on the bottom, and it was after a burn up there. Burn had been several years before, but and there was no snow on that side, but it was frozen and it was all burned. It was all that locust, that old prickly old cat claw stuff, And I said, I'll just get to the bottom. I said, you drag the lion on down. Okay. So I started off, and I had his mule, and I had a pack mule, and my mule. I might have had 2 pack mules. I feel like saying I did. But anyway, I started leading off of there. That ground, it was really steep, but not only that, it was frozen rock. Just like rock. And I kept slipping and sliding, and I started down. There was no turning back up. I said, man, I got to just keep going. I got down on the bottom. Well, after that fire, when that water came in the summer rains, it cut, and I had a bank higher than that roof right there. A lot higher, like high as this damn tree to the bottom of the creek. And there was no going up.
And you were there.
I was dead in the water. I went up, I thought, what am I going to do? And I went up. I turned every mule loose. I figured, and I took the mule I was riding, and I jumped off. And I knew I could get that mule off behind me. And that mule jumped. I never seen it jump, but it jumped. And I figured it was going to land on me. And when I hit, I rolled into a pool of water down there. And that mule hit behind me, and I got out of the water. And I did that with every mule. I had one mule that rolled underneath with a pack on, rolled underneath a damn burned big old dead log under a deadfall. And she was squatted. I mean, I was going to shoot her and myself. No, really. You get in some of them pinches, you just go, what is the answer to this? What is the answer? I don't know the answer. Well, what should I, whatever you do is going to be wrong, Yeah. Probably it probably was one of the worst days I've ever had hunting with a hound. I put this line in a mine shaft up here. I had this old guy with a muzzleloader. And we lost the dogs. I didn't have no, tracking stuff. And we were on a good trail. Followed them. And we come off into this damn deal. And it was quiet. Couldn't hear a dog. And we weren't that far behind them. And I figured they just made a bad lose, Nothing. I said, this is weird. I said, the mine shaft, it wasn't even in my mind. I just thought the dogs had made a lose. And, we waited a while, nothing. We got off down in there, nothing. And we're on one side of the canyon, maybe the other side was, back across there in a cut was maybe a couple 100 yards. And a dog must have come out of that and barked. And we heard that dog right there. Said, hell, they're right over there. Got over there, and they had this lion back in this. It wasn't that deep. It was probably only from here to that far post. And it was a big boulder in front of it. And it was just like somebody had put it there, whatever. And you could get back in this hole. Anyway, I didn't have a flashlight. And I crawled in there. And the noise was deafening. Them lions. I probably had 6, 7 dogs. I don't know. And they had this lion bait in there. And they was just, and I crawled in there. I didn't get much from me to you. And I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. And I'm squatted there, and I had to squat down to crawl in. And I remember I had my 45 in my hand, and I was kneeling down, and I'm thinking, and the noise is deafening. When we got there, the hunter said, "Mike, this is your deal. I ain't going in there." And I'm thinking to myself, how do I get these dogs out? You can't even hear yourself think. You can imagine the noise. Them bait, and I didn't have a flashlight, and I couldn't see, and I'm just thinking, what do I do? And I thought, nothing. I try to call them off. I'm kind of like, here, dogs, here. Well, that was the worst thing in the world. And all what they did is they just piled on it, and the fight, and it lasted probably 3 seconds, 10 seconds, and I'll never forget. I sit just like this, and I just seen eyes, like right there, boom, and it was a female, and she had to go right over the top of me because there was no room. And when she got right on me like this, I fired 2 rounds. Boom, boom, just like that. And I am not joking. That lion collapsed on me, laid on me, okay? Wow. But my second shot, no, it was my third shot. I went boom, boom, and I thought it was maybe still alive. I went boom. I had a little old dog, little walker dog. She was a little crackerjack. She had come running up, and I shot her right in the back of the head. Ooh. And the last shot, and I probably didn't. The lion was probably already dead with the first 2, but I didn't know that.
You didn't know she was laying on you.
And I shot her, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I shot my dog. Anyway, I came out of the hole. The hunter like, what? I said, I shot my dog. I said, this. You want to quit,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But yeah, then I pull the lion out and waiting for the dogs to come out one at a time. No dogs, and I'm thinking, now what can be wrong? What can be wrong? So I crawl back in there. I go, here dogs. Pretty soon, here come a dog. Here come another. They had baited that lion on a rat nest, and you know how all that choya.
Yeah.
And them dogs were covered in choya. And the lion, when I went to drag it, it bit me. You know what I mean? I was full of choya. And them dogs were all just slow coming out because they were full of choya, And we sat there and pulled all the choya out of all the dogs. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, that was yeah. But hey, things like that happen.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of guys. I've lost a couple dogs off of bluffs, but never a bunch of dogs. And I wonder what it is. I hate to say record, but I wonder how many have ever went off on one hunt.
What's the old boy there in down in Arizona, that hunted the Armandaris, wrote the book.
Yeah.
John Keebler.
Yeah.
He lost like 4 dogs, I think, once off of a bluff. I heard.
I don't know how I guess you just keep going, but that'd be I don't know. That would be much tougher than that.
I watched a video that a guy had of losing one dog, but the way he did it was terrible. The dog was sitting there baying the lion, about that far from his face.
Yeah.
The lion grabbed the dog, and they both went off the bluff. The lion and the dog.
Yeah.
Billy Jack told me the story about when he hunted the big hatchet. They had that line in that, I guess, that face you were talking about. And he said that was a sad deal. That one good dog was out there, and he jumped to get back up on the ledge.
He told me that story.
Hung there like that, and he couldn't power himself up.
Yeah.
And he went like 60 feet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He told me he was ready to quit then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, I remember talking to him. He said matter of fact, he said he wouldn't hunt that mountain anymore. Right. He'd never go down there again.
You know, whatever. I don't know.
Have you ever had a lion just turn around and kill a dog?
Nope.
Never have.
No.
Bears, though?
I know. I've only had them, you know, whatever you want to call it, defending themselves, you know, and the thing is, just like me telling the dogs, you know, here, dog, you know, and they got them on the edge of a bluff, and here we come crawling up, and them dogs turn and look and see us. All of a sudden, they're 2 foot closer.
They're tougher, yeah.
You know, I had a dog up here get knocked off a bluff, and I watched it get knocked off, and I thought it was dead, and I took it to the vet, and it ruined her. It broke. He put her hip back in or whatever and put her in some kind of deal, but she couldn't hunt the rest of the winter. Then she never was the same.
Never was.
Didn't you have a lion over here by Alamogordo over there that went off a bluff, and you had to go around and
Yeah, over there in that Dog Canyon, big old nasty. I mean, you've probably seen that country over there. You know, it's up there by them antennas. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're bad bluffs. I mean,
there on by above Alamogordo.
Yeah, you could parachute off them bluffs.
Yeah,
I mean, you could.
Mike Benzie had a dog that I had given him that was making a good lion hound. They caught a big tom off of there, and that dog came off the bluff right there.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me. They're bad bluffs. Yeah, the dogs had one bait, and we were gunning down to it, and the dog looked up and seen us, and lion jumped over the dogs and then went along a rim, disappeared. And we got over there along that rim, and on this side it was just a sheer wall, and I knew that lion didn't go up there, you know, and the dogs were all looking for the lion, you know, and we looked, and there was a crack, and he was looking at it, and I told that hunter before a dog could even see that line. I said, shh. Oh. He blew him off. He said he heard him hit. I didn't hear him hit. And I marked it with some paper, you know, up there on a cholla. And I looked down there. You can see Highway 54 going down there towards El Paso, you know. And I could see a 2-track way down there coming up this canyon. So I kind of marked everything. And the next day we came back around. We hiked up there. We got up there about 1:30 in the afternoon, I remember. And I went up a little higher, and I said, this is it. I said, you know, let's split up. I said, you down here, I'm going to get a little higher, and let's just skirt underneath this bluff. And I was walking along, not very long, and it looked like a boulder had come off, fresh dirt, you know. And I said, I don't know what hit here, but something hit. About the time I said it, this hunter goes, here he is, Mike. And that lion had hit and then bounced. And that lion had splits down him. And I thought he was ruined. And he said, no, my taxidermist can fix it. And he sent me pictures. And
come out okay?
He did. Mm. But I could see over there where, if you ever had a dog off a bluff, it's over. Done. No, them were really bad bluffs over there. Yeah. Really bad bluffs. I mean, any bluff that over 50 feet kill a dog, I guess. Yeah. So it don't matter.
Have you hunted up north?
Not really. No. I've been up there. I had a buddy up there in Las Vegas, New Mexico, an old Mexican guy, good son of a gun. And I'd go up there and hunt. And the biggest line I ever caught was up there.
Really?
Yeah.
Arizona? You ever hunting Arizona? Or?
Oh, yeah. I hunted in Arizona. I never caught nothing, though. I always go over there to see. We used to have a spring bear season.
Oh, yeah.
And when they closed it, you know, you had the month of April, you couldn't do nothing. The lion season ended the 31st of March. So I'd go to Arizona, and before you know it, it'd be too damn hot, and the bears would be out. Anyway.
How about when you ran bears? Did you ever have any trouble running lions with dogs that you caught bears with? Running both?
Yeah, probably only because, if you're hunting and the bears are real active and you go over a bear track and your dogs are used to catching bears, they're going to leave.
Yeah.
They're going to go on the bear. Now, you might have a dog or two to stay in the line. It just depends how hard the lion track is.
Yeah.
If the lion track ain't that good and they hit a fresh bear, boom. I don't know. Jim, that's the way it is.
The way it is.
I mean, there are a lot of guys go, well, I won't let my dog run a bear. Well, that's fine. I mean, like I say, you do it for a living. I mean, I take bear hunters because, it'll help feed the dog.
Never had much trouble with the dog slowing down to trail a bear or trail a lion after running bears?
I don't think so. I mean, I've heard that a lot of times too from a lot of guys. That a bear dog will be too fast and he won't slow down on a lion track. But you get experienced dogs with lions under their belt. When they hit a track and they don't want to leave it, they're gonna pound on it.
Yeah.
If it's a giddy up go track, it's one thing, but most of the time it ain't that way. I told old Sid Savage, he's hunting with me a little this last winter. I said, Sid, you're never going to catch a lion. He goes, why you say that, Mike? I said, because you ride too damn fast. I said, he's always bragging on his mule. He'll watch it. He'll give me hell. He'll give me hell. He said, watch my mule. He's got,
Boy, he will walk out.
Oh, well, that's all well and good, but, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess heading home, it's nice.
Yeah.
But
I told him the same thing when we were hunting up there. I said, "Dadgum, Sid.
Slow down.
Let's slow down and enjoy some of this.
Yeah, he's well, what about over there? What about over there? Let's go."
He's like a fart in a bottle.
Yeah. He's used to that roping. He's all quick.
Yeah.
Timing, everything.
Make it happen.
I got a saying about these hounds. I say there's two things: slow down and stay out of their way.
Yeah.
That's my two things. I tell a young boy, and he's always at pushing up. I said, stay back from them. Give them time. Let them figure it out. You stay out of their way, because you can push it. You can keep pushing the dog riding up on him.
Yeah.
You can push him off that track.
Yeah.
Best dog I ever had was a little female, and I've actually seen her be going up a canyon, and I'd get too close to her, and that track would turn around and come back. She'd trail right underneath my mule.
You were in the way.
And I was in the way.
Yeah.
So anymore, when I'm in the mountains, if they're going up the canyon, I'm side hilling. If they're side hilling, I'm in the canyon,
Right.
I just stay out of the way and give them a lot of time.
Right.
Just tie up. Jimmer, I got a friend over at Capitan. Jimmer is notorious. He'll get off his mule and go get his cantina out, or coffee out, and he drinks tea, and he's got to have his tea. And he says a lot of times, if you'll just get back to them dogs, they'll turn it around. He calls it inching it back. He says they'll inch it back.
Sure.
Just get down right there and build you a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Well,
but it's a game I think nobody's got the answer to. You get a lot of opinions, and like we're here, we're all.
And that's the reason we do it, because you never have the answer to it.
No, it's
every day's a new day.
Different.
Every day, and every track is different.
And the hell of it is, probably the biggest thing is, like me and Billy talk all the time, say, it's all the dogs.
Yeah.
If you couldn't watch that dog work, especially, watching a pup make a dog. Yeah. That's probably the biggest reward.
Right.
Is making a young dog. I mean, watching a young dog turn into a good dog.
Yeah. And coming into the evening, and you trail the line, and they've just worked their heart out, and they're strung out for a quarter mile behind you, like a bunch of galley slaves. That to me, that gives me more satisfaction than if I caught the biggest tom on the mountain.
Right. Oh yeah.
And that's one of the reasons everybody has, or not everybody. So many people have the wrong impression about what we do. Right. They think that you just take a bunch of screaming dogs out there, dump them on the ground, they run through a canyon and tree a line. And I make my little videos and I do my things, and the only thing I show is how those dogs trail. Yeah. And I show how the dogs work and how I don't really know what the hell's going on.
The thing about the dogs, too, you hear this stuff, this term, sport hunting, Hunting ain't a sport. It's not a sport, it's something you kick a ball, You hunt because, there's no winning and losing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, every day you win.
Yeah.
Really. You lose a dog and that, bums anybody out. But I'm just saying. Because it ain't that way, and it's hard to call it. What do you get out of hunting? Well, you just either you love it or
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that don't. I've taken guys that don't get anything out of watching that dog go over there. Start
I agree.
Barking on a track, and to me that.
I don't care if I caught it or not.
Yeah, exactly.
I always say if anybody who don't like the dog, ought to just be shot.
I don't care
I don't care what kind of dog, even. The only dogs I got, I don't have any compassion for, or whatever you want to write word is a pit bull.
And one of the big,
it's the only dog a bird dog, a squirrel dog.
A lot of preconceived ideas too is that we train these dogs to do this, and that it's cruel to the dog. And I always say, man, it's just like, if a guy wants to, hang glide or anything like that, or mountain climb. It's dangerous, but they'd rather do that than anything else, and that's the way those dogs are. If you give them a choice, I mean, they want to go hunt.
And here's another thing about the way we hunt. Riding a horse or a mule, and of course the dog. But you're using animals to catch animals.
Yeah.
And I think that's neat. And
No.
Yeah. I mean, and of course we got our electronic stuff. And it really wouldn't bother me if that stuff never came along. Really.
Me either.
I mean, I'm sure, it's now it's getting where, it's kind of like having your cell phone. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and
when
I
did
never
you start using telemetry or tracking collars?
just like maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most, 3 years maybe.
3 years ago?
Probably, yeah. Well, I had telemetry before that.
Yeah, but I mean,
The telemetry probably 7, 8, 10 years.
Really?
Probably a while.
You like the Garmin's a lot better?
Well, yeah. I mean, because it's,
But when you started, there wasn't nothing around, Mike. When I started, there wasn't nothing. When you went hunting, you got invited by some old man. He took his 2 best dogs, and he maybe take a pup. And you took your best dog, but you yoked yours to his. And he made you make your dog stay behind your mule. I mean, they'd take a rope or a whip or anything.
Yeah.
And them 2 old dogs or 1 old dog out front, they call them start dogs. And they had to get the track lined out and going. Because if you jumped off and uncoupled them or unsnapped them, you got your butt chewed out, Because that's just the way we hunted, 4 dogs. But, in a way, I think that's good, and there's some bad. The bad part is you never trained many young dogs. They were still at home on the chain. The good part was those dogs that did it were what I call more rounded. They could strike, they could trail and tree. Nowadays, we hunt a pack of dogs. I'm guilty of it. I got better start dogs, I've got better trail dogs, and I've got better tree dogs. Dogs just don't come rounded, 150% this, 50% that.
Yeah.
Some dogs are better trail dogs than weak tree dogs, vice versa. And we compensate by having a whole bunch of them. Back in them old days, some of those old dogs, like you read Dub Evans' book, Old Brownie and them, they were rounded dogs.
They did it all.
They could do it all. They didn't have to have an army behind them,
Yeah.
And people have asked me, and first time I asked Wes Henderson about this Clay's boy. I asked him. He told me. He said, "Well, we took 13 dogs down here on the Cachivas or someplace and caught a line." And I said, "Well, why do you take 13 dogs?" He looked at me for a while, real stupid, and he said, "Wouldn't you rather have 13 noses looking for it than 2?" I said, "I never thought of it like that."
Why'd you take 13? Because we don't have 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so much for my.
How do you hunt? How many dogs do you put on the ground at a time, Mike?
All he's got. Usually.
Yeah, not that. 7 or 8.
And you split your packs though when you're hunting for somebody.
Yeah, and then you try to rotate them, and then take another bunch the next day.
Rotate every day.
Yeah.
Their feet.
Yeah, I do. Do you have a preference on your dogs? Any particular breed or anything you really, or if it's just tell us about your dogs, Mike. What do you look for?
Well, they're all hound. That's all I can say. And other than that, to me, the biggest thing about a hound is giving them the opportunity. Like we said, putting in the miles. You bring it out of a dog. You can take a dog. To me, I tell everybody, if all we had is German Shepherds, we'd catch lions. We just have to hunt harder. No, really. I mean, because how many dogs? I mean, it's just funny.
You've been through a lot of dogs that didn't work, that just wouldn't.
Not that many, really. When I first started, because they knew a lot more than I did, and I'd call a dog not giving it enough time, probably.
Not giving it, yeah.
Just being stupid. No.
I think that's a lot of problem these days. These guys want a dog that's going to cold trail by the time he's 9 months old, and they don't ever give him a chance.
Yeah. No, you got to bring it out of them. And every dog's got their own character, and man, some of them, as they get older, that character may be a sleeper for a long time, and then later on, that turning, and that dog disappears. You say how important that dog was. That you thought was just part of the team.
Yeah.
Well, really, it was more than just that. And they had just like anything, the more experience they got, the more game they got under their belt, the harder they'll stay on a track. When they know what's on the end of that track,
You think when you do shoot a lion out to a dog that it really tunes them up a lot more, that they get a lot more?
I think I think you have to do that. I know you do, but not every time.
Not every time.
I remember, and I've done it where I'd read where Dale Lee would, they'd catch a lion and they'd gut it, feed the dogs right with them, the guts, and jump on, let's go. Give the dogs a little
reward.
Yeah.
Little reward, and let's go. So yeah.
And that's what I think you and I were talking about Ben Lilly, that, he didn't pack a bunch of dog food around with him. He had to, and those dogs probably got a little hungry and they probably wanted to catch.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks about that old timer.
Oh, man.
I mean, everything's a legend, and all that, but I mean, some of it just doesn't fit. A lot of stuff, you really have to be there, So yeah.
What do you think about the future of what?
I think our days are numbered. I do. It'd be great if I'm wrong. I mean, I'd like to be wrong. Sure don't look good. The whole country as a whole don't look good. And I don't think we got the gumption for the Civil War, but that's kind of...
It's headed that way, isn't it?
Well, I mean, whatever. We could go on, but, I say praise the Lord and pass the ammunition.
I'm with you. I don't...
How's our time?
Oh, I don't know how long, but it's been good. I know that. I enjoyed the heck out of that. I could have done this without all this camera stuff.
Yeah.
I would have.
Oh, yeah.
Mike's an interesting guy. He's been around, I'll say.
Well, no more than you, Jim. I mean, we've all got our stories,
You made a living at it, and I didn't have to,
Yeah. Well, whatever. I've taken a lot of good people hunting over the years, and I tell everybody I wouldn't have nothing if it wasn't for hunters. I've had hunters give me more damn stuff. I had a hunter a couple years ago call me, wanted to send his daughter up here, and show her how to pack. She's from Texas. She'll never have a use for packing in her whole life. But he just wanted her to learn. And well, he was going to send her up, and then she got sick, and he couldn't. And then a week later, I got a $3,000 check in the mail. Said, sorry, my daughter couldn't come. Guys like that.
That's amazing, isn't it?
That's what I mean.
Who taught you how to pack?
Oh, just different guys. Different guys. I got to say, my hat's off to Randy Lindsay. He really, when I first went over there line hunting years ago, he was real big, and he maybe it's different now, but he always tied a double diamond, and I got to tie a double diamond, and I love it. It's simple. It does everything. Maybe there's better hitches, maybe, but anyway, it works. So I can say that, and then different, but that's the hitch I use pretty much. I know there's a whole lot more, but anyway, yeah.
And you do. I mean, you pack for the Forest Service.
I have.
And you do some contracts and stuff.
Yeah. Most of that stuff, it doesn't really compare to packing with hunters because hunters got all this crap. Well, I gotta tell you, Forest Service. I mean, they think you're overloading a mule if you put over 150 pounds. And you got a hunter, and you keep throwing the stuff on.
Me and Juan were up there at his camp on top.
Yeah.
And we got up there before him, and
well, you guys came by. I was over there by a flagpole, remember?
Oh, that's right.
And you wanted to get up on top, and I said, man, you guys, the only way that I know that's good, well, you got a good trail. Go to Hermosa, go up Morgan, I said. Go up through the second set of pins, and then you'll see that trail cut off, and that'll take you up on top.
Asked him, he said, you'll have to lead right when you get to the top, or you'll have to lead. And I said, where? He said, you'll know.
Yeah. You did?
Yeah, we got off on that. I forget what.
That one edge you go around, that one edge is kind of, if you lost something there, you'd lose it.
And
you'd
then,
probably. It's
one
bad.
One time we were up there and we were camped, right? We had already set up our camp.
No, and we rode in after dark.
And you rode in with that kid and everything after dark, and all you could see coming up that old rough mountain was those headlamps coming up through there, and that's a pretty rough spot coming up through there. That's a beautiful camp up there, though. Yeah, it's a nice little spot. Nice. But I don't know how guys do it without a pack mule because the heck of it is, it might be 3 PM and you hit a track. Mm-hmm. And, you hate leaving a dog out. And then, I've left them just as much as anybody, and I hate it. Oh, yeah. I've turned around and said, and then they're not really working, Right. And they won't come off, though. You know what I mean? You're going, damn it, what do I do? What do I do? And the hunter says, well, how far is camp? Camp's going to be where we end up tonight. Yeah, like Otis said, just shut up, fat boy. We met up on his top. That Otis, man, he's great. Llewellyn? Yeah. We were up there, and we were elk hunting, and I had another guy helping. We were going to meet up on this knob for lunch, all of us, have a little powwow, see how the morning hunt went, and figure what we're going to do that afternoon, We got up there. I had this guy, and he said he was in the Army and Special Forces, and then I asked him about boot camp. He said he didn't even go to boot camp. He went straight into Special Forces,
Well, right there is enough to, this guy, I just assume shoot him in the kneecap and leave him, But the hell of it is, we get up there, and this guy says, well, let's just eat. And we're waiting on the one guy to show up. One buddy of mine with a hunt. Let's just wait 5 more minutes. They'll be up. We'll all eat together. Just relax, relax. And 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by. And this guy says, oh, hell, let's just go ahead and eat. This is the guy who said he was Special Forces. And Otis turns around and says, why don't you just shut up, fat boy? I swear this guy had never been called that in his life. He about, and I just kind of smirked like, he's my hunter and I I'm not supposed to be, you know what I mean? He's a paying client, all this bullshit, but that's what he needed. He was out of line.
I'm speaking of Otis, I'm going to go to Oklahoma and I talked to Otis and he wants me to come when it's cooler. So I can go bobcat hunting with him because he's running bobcats over there.
That's him.
And I told him, I said, will you sit down and let the guys do an interview? And he said, yeah.
He'd be a great one.
Yeah, he's got some stories.
Deb Evans' book, he had a chapter on Blanche, one of his dogs.
Oh.
So I named the dog Blanche. I think I got one out here right now. I think I've had 5 Blanches.
You just keep running out of
I just keep,
That's like those brownie dogs. Brownie 1, brownie 2, brownie 3.
Big brownie.
A bunch of brownies.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a story, Mike. You've been silent all this time.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
There's lots of them in there, I know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm about out, I guess. Yeah.
You taking any famous people hunting?
No, not really. I've taken Hornady, the bullet maker.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy. I took him into Florida first.
Really?
You talk about some rough old country, and we didn't catch nothing. And then I caught him a line in the black range. Whatever. But then old Jeff Cooper. You've heard of probably Jeff Cooper?
Yeah.
He was a pistolero guy, old crusty old Marine. He used to ride in the back of Guns and Ammo. He's dead and gone, but he was a neat guy, real neat guy. But he was, yeah. But no, not really.
Any advice to young houndsmen coming up?
Go to the meetings,
Try to
contribute. Try to stick together with everybody. Everybody's got, we're all individuals, but we love our freedom.
They have the New Mexico Houndsman Association.
I guess so. I've never been a member. I'm a member of the Guide Association. I'm a member of the Trappers Association. I've never set a trap in my life. I don't know how to set a trap, but I'm all for them.
Yeah, I'm part of
I'm a member. I just got a thing from them the other day.
And I'm not one to go in. I've only been to one meeting in my life, and that was that meeting that we all went to. But
well, I found out if you don't go to the meetings, they'll run over you. I mean, you got to fight for what you got. I mean, and you can't go to every meeting, and they pretty much got us outnumbered. But it's worth going and putting in your 2 cents because, not everybody's going to roll, cave into their agenda.
There's a bunch of yahoos that go to those meetings.
Well, they don't contribute. I say the hunters, you buy your license, I had a hunter this winter. We treat a nice tom after trailing it. That old Red was with me. We trailed it, pretty much we hit the track in the afternoon and they moved it out. It was a good track,
Mm-hmm.
And they moved it out and they went on and they treated it right on the edge of the county road in a cottonwood tree, 10 feet from the county, not even 10 feet from the county road, and this guy wouldn't let me shoot it.
Yeah, and that's when you went to court with that.
Well, no, they just dismissed it and I couldn't believe it. His wife came down and she was cussing us out. And,
she hit you or something, didn't she?
She came out and pushed me and I had a hunter there and all, and they sicked the game department on me. There's nothing, the game department was no help. The next day I was there early at daylight with a couple fresh dogs, going to walk down the county road and start the track when the line left and have another day of it, Yeah. Try to figure it out. Game warden was waiting for me. He said, Mike, I wouldn't do it, Mike. And he was kind of telling me, I don't want to cite you. What could you cite me for? But here's the deal. I got a special use permit. I got a stupid outfitter license. They got all this stuff where you or even Jim could say, hey, buddy, this is a county road. You can't keep me from walking my dogs. There's no leash law here in this county.
Was it a nice line in that tree?
Oh, Big Tom. I couldn't get him out. I was bombing him with rocks.
He was safe right there.
Oh, he was a good Tom. I'm not just saying that. He must have been full because I couldn't get him. And we stayed there till dark throwing rocks at him. I couldn't even get him to stand up in the lit branch, Just a big old Tom laying up there. And he was up pretty high, too, up on a big old limb sticking out. And I had like 10 dogs, and they'd been there for a while. I get there, and I start tying. The guy had a bow, you know. I said, man, you know. Pretty soon his truck drives up, comes down, and he said, what are you fixing to do? I said, we're fixing to shoot this lion. He says, no, you're not on my private property. I said, what are you talking about, mister? I said, this is what I do. I said, we follow this lion the better part of the day. So the hunter he's in a pickle. He don't know what to do. Yeah, that was the first time that's ever happened to me.
What do most guys carry to shoot lions with? Everything?
I tell them a 30-30.
30-30.
I tell them just, because, I don't have to,
Bears the same thing?
It ain't the killing.
Bears the same thing?
Yeah, it ain't the killing, it's the hunt. Usually shooting them's the,
it's over with,
the easy part. Right.
And it's just, it's not like it's...
Right. That's why it's kind of not good to film it, because it's just too much of a damn...
Yeah. It takes away from everything it took to get there. And that's...
It does. I agree. And the older I get, the more I see it, too. It starts affecting you.
Right.
You go, that's one less line.
It's anticlimactic.
Or something like that. You go, damn, and then there's whatever, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
How's night swimming, Mike?
Yeah. That hunter heard me splashing around. We got here to the house. We rode from Hermosa, a long way across, and we got down in this canyon. It was after dark, coming down, and, it's all choked with salt cedar. And I had a little cutout, and that mule missed it, and I knew I missed it. I rode just like from here to your truck, and I knew, you son of a bitch. And there was a pool, and the starlight was shining, and I thought, shit, this ain't, I'm sticking a steel to that donkey, And that donkey wouldn't go, and I started laying on that donkey, and pretty soon she jumped in, and man, I was in my armpits.
Oh, it was...
there was no bottom. I never touched the bottom. It was just a big old hole. And I'm swimming around it. That hunter, he ain't saying shit. He's a surgeon from Albuquerque at the heart hospital. And he got knocked off the day before and split his head open. So he's got blood, and I glued his fucking glasses to his head with super glue. Trying to steal it.
That split?
Yeah, trying to, So he was all... Anyway, we got back here to the house, and he had a bottle of whiskey in the pannier, So where's that whiskey? Dug around. Let's have a drink. He said, let's just drink to being alive. He said, and I was walking, because, you can't get back on after that. I was so pissed off, just walk to stay warm, And I was hooking it down the canyon, just stepping it out. He said, hey, by the way, how's the water? Just messing,
Was it cold?
Yeah. Well, only it's between the ears. You know what I mean? I was so damn mad, I think it wasn't cold. You know what I'm saying? I was so like, I couldn't believe I had a damn rifle in the scabbard. I had chaps on. I hardly ever wear that.